In this video, we are going to see what is static keyword or how to use static keyword. Static keyword. Static keyword in Java is mainly used for memory management. Actually, static helps to manage memory. For example, in this we are going to see an example how a common variable is shared between objects using static. For this, as we know, I am going to create a package. In that package, we are going to have a class. Like I am using a test class. In this class, I am going to declare two fields. As you know, this is like A is an instance variable or field, and the second one will be a static variable. Static variable are those variables which are given by static keyword, as you can see in my code. So first, A is an instance variable and the second is a static variable. The static variable belongs to your class and the instance variable belongs to your object. Here is a static variable and this instance. Okay, now let's create a main method. For that, let me just write main control space main method public static void main, and in this example I am going to create two objects to just show you how memory is managed by static, as static variable is shared between two objects for memory management. Like static example can be college name. College name is shared among all the students and the teachers of that class. So here I am going to use the object T1, T1 is a reference for giving data to A and B. Okay. Then the second object T2 dot B4. As you can see, I have created two objects. The reference is T1 and T2 can access A and B. Okay, sorry, I've written here J. So let me just clear B. Okay, now the code is perfect. I'm using A as an instance variable and B as a static variable. Now I'm going to print the data. Like I'm directly accessing that variable just to show you how two objects of the same class share the same static variable. Object 1 and the object 2. And reference is T1, T2. I'm going to call the reference T1 A and T1 also B. I'm going to do the same thing for T2 as well. I will call both the variables of the second object which is there in T2. Let's just copy and paste the data. It will be an easier way. Then let's change. Save your code. Okay, there are two objects T1 and T2. This is my main method and these are the two variables of class test. Okay, I'm just copying this data to show you what happens theoretically when we use a static variable. So for this I have used a PPT, PowerPoint, and I'm just going to paste all the code which I have copied inside a text box. Let me just copy the complete class. and then paste it inside your PowerPoint. Let me just arrange the code. As you can see, I have copied all the code with the instance variable and static variable. Here we will see how memory is allocated to static variable, as static variables belong to your class. So I'm just going to give you a rough description. It's just like a little bit imaginary for this inside. Okay, I'm going to take the test name of this area. It's imaginary. Let's take a block which will be a test. As we know, static variable is allocated memory using the test class, and when the main is executed, a memory block is created for that static variable. Point to note here is that the static variable is allocated memory after public static void main method is executed. So I'm going to give a memory block to the static variable before the object creation. By default, the value for int is 0. Okay. So here the second is instance variable. We already know that when an object is created, an instance variable is allocated memory. So here I am going to create the first object that is having a reference T2, and inside that we are going to have a block for instance variable A. Here T2, T1, sorry. This is just the representation of what happens inside a memory. Okay, let me just give the names for all the blocks which I am using. I'm not going to provide a default value here. I'm just going to show you how value is allocated when I'm going to dry run the code. This is my test1 T1 object for test. T1 is a reference which is having a test object, and now we can create like we did for T1, we can also do for T2, which is having the second test object, T2 reference. So here you can see I am creating instance variable when I am creating objects. As there are two objects, so we are having two instance variable for both the objects that are having references T1 and T2. And you can also see the static variable B is created only once when the class was first loaded. So this is here is my diagrammatic representation. Okay. So after this, let me just tell you, if t1.a is equals to 1, so we are going to go and write 1 in t1, and t1.b, it is going to use the same b, and then t2.a, and now you are going to note t2.b. t2.b is equals to 4. It is going to just write 4 in that same memory block. This concept is hiding, it is not overriding. Okay, we should know this, as 2 was there and then on top of that 4 came. So here I am going to also give you the output. Here t1.a will be 1 as shown, and then t1.b will be 4 as you can see, because static is allocated memory only once for every object. So the output will be 1 4 and 3 4. I have not shown you this in your Eclipse IDE. I'm just going to give you here a theory view, and then let's go to your Eclipse and run the code. Right click, run as. Okay, 1434. Here's is your output. So here you can see how static variable is getting only once memory through your class. Static keyword belongs to the class, then an instance of the class. If you declare any variable static, is known as static variable. The static variable can be used to refer common properties like college name, bank name, company name. The static variable gets memory only once. It was proved at the time of class loading, as you have seen in this practical here. Okay, this is my static variable. We forcefully called a static variable using object. But we can do that. But we should avoid calling static variable with object, but we can call it. Static is a keyword. So we should write S in small letters only because it is a keyword. My main method executes, then only the static variable is allocated memory. Okay, as you can see, the static field test.B should be accessed in a static way. Static way means we shouldn't use object references for calling a static variable. Instead of this, we can use class name. Here I am going to show you how to access a static variable properly. How to access static variable. We can use this. It's not giving us an error, but the best way is to use class name with that variable. Here I am going to assign a value for the V. Same you can print the data out by test class name dot static variable. The best way to call a static variable is to use the class name. It doesn't mean we should use. Okay, we can also use object as well, but the proper way is for using the class name as shown here. So this is a static variable. Best way, use the class name. Thank you.